Hello friends, this is tutorial number 5 in this C++ design pattern course. In this tutorial we will talk about dependency injection. And let's quick create one class. Like in previous tutorials, we will create one class which we will use for as application without destructor. Okay, here is our application header file. We will delete this class, we don't need it, and also this constructor we will delete. Let's include standard namespace and iostream in our CPP file, and also we will include standard namespace in our header file. And also let's create a namespace. We will call it my namespace, and let's start. First we want to create one class vehicle, and it will be abstract, and it will have a public function or drive. It can be void or can be string. We will use string. It will be virtual string drive. It will return some string. It will be pure virtual function. We will define it with 0, and this means, just a second, we will need to include a string from C++ library. And inside this we need to create a virtual destructor, because class is abstract. Now we will create one derived class. It will be a car. It can be Audi, for example. It will extend a vehicle, public vehicle. It will not have private members. It will have only a public drive function which will return a string. String drive, and that should be fine. And also we can create a constructor. It will be a default one. And now let's create one class. It will be driver. It will not extend any of these two classes. It will have one private member, and that will be vehicle V, but with pointer. And now we can create public. We will create a constructor it will be parameterized constructor. It will be v with pointer, and also this driver will have a drive function, which will also be a string, but it doesn't. We don't have inheritance here. And I think that should be fine. We just need, we will see if it will be fine. We need to build and run to see if everything goes properly. Okay, it's okay for now. Now let's go to our CPP file. Again, I have deleted standard namespace. We can do that. And let's include my namespace that we have created. And let's see what we need to do. Class vehicle is abstract, and this means that we have just a virtual destructor that is defined already, and this function drive is already defined. We have Audi class which extend a vehicle, and we need to define a constructor. Its default constructor, and we have a string drive function, and we can write override here. It will work, but it is better to write string and we need to return a string. We will return some string. I will drive out, for example. And now let's define a driver. We have a parameterized constructor, but before we could also create and virtual destructor. That will be fine. And now let's create the constructor is parameterized. It has vehicle with pointer, and this v equals to v. And we also have a string drive function, and we need to return something. This function is important, but one more thing. A driver class it's not a derived class, neither of Audi or vehicle. It will use a vehicle. It has a vehicle as a private member, but it doesn't extend. The point is the drive function is a drive function of the class driver. It doesn't have anything to do with a drive function from the vehicle or Audi. We will return something, and we'll return a string. I will drive, for example, it can be Toyota. And also we are working with strings. We also need to include a string here. Now we need also to see if everything will run properly. Okay, it will. And now we can move to our main CPP file, and let's include application header file, and we also need to include namespace that we have created, my namespace. And we can create one vehicle. We can call it V1 equals to new vehicle. It will not be vehicle, it will be Audi, sorry. We are using polymorphism here. And also now we can create a driver. It will be D1, I forgot a pointer, equals to new driver, but a driver has a parameterized constructor, and it has a vehicle as a parameter, and we will use vehicle V1 that we have created and allocated in our memory. And we can call a drive function from the driver object. Just call D1 drive. And let's delete driver, and also let's delete vehicle from the memory. We don't need it anymore. Now what do you expect as output? As I already told you, driver class has a vehicle as a private member, and we will need that vehicle to create object. But it doesn't extend the class. If we want, for example, if we want to use this to return this class in the drive function, it will return I will drive a Toyota. It will not return a drive function from Audi. Let's build and run to see. The output should be I will drive a Toyota. And of course it will not we will not have anything, because it is a string, and we need to print it. It's not a void. Now we will see if we will drive Audi, Toyota, or we won't drive anything. Okay, I will drive Toyota, which is okay. And this is a drive function from a driver object, and it doesn't have anything to do with a drive class of Audi. For example, if we want to have output, I will drive Audi, instead of I will comment it, we could return, we have a V, which is a vehicle, as a parameter, and we could just call drive function. And now as output, if we run application again, we will have I will drive Audi, which is normal because we have defined a drive function of a drive object. We just call drive from a vehicle. Don't forget that vehicle is a private member of the class driver. And of course, and we can't now. If we build and run, it will not work properly. Or I will drive a Toyota. Why? Of course, it will not work, because it will return I will drive a Toyota, and the function ends. We cannot return two things. But we can do another thing. For example, we can use concatenation. I will just copy this I will drive Toyota, and we can do concatenation here. But it is better to write something else. It will return I will drive Audi, but we will write another one more thing, but I prefer more Toyota, which should be good. And this is the example of dependency injection. We can, in this function, we can return anything, string that we can write, or we can call a function from a private member, because drive function from object Audi, which is vehicle, is a string, and we have a string here. We will call it, but also we will extend it. And now output should be I will drive Audi, but I prefer more Toyota, and we will see if it will run properly. I will drive Audi, but I prefer more Toyota. I don't know if you will agree with me, but it is just a simple example of dependency injection. How we can inject something. As you can, we have dependency, and we can use, as you can see, we can use. We have a vehicle as a private member, and we can call a function from that object, but we can also replace it or extend it. Of course, we could type something else, but it works fine. And I really hope that you understand it. Of course, you can practice. You can use it with string, void. It doesn't matter type of function, or if it's integer, it's the same thing. You can return same number, or you can decrement it or increment. It's your choice. I really hope that you understand it. And I really hope that you like this tutorial. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram. You have a link in the description, and I will see you in the next tutorial.